friends, I CA Kamakshi welcome you all to my next webinar. Today I would be discussing about the matching concept in GST. There are two types of matching. First is the matching of the claim of the input tax credit, and second is the matching of the claim of reduction in the output tax liability. First, I would like to discuss the matching of claim of input tax credit. The ITC matching and auto reversal of input tax credit is a mechanism to prevent the revenue leakage. The process of matching of ITC begins after the filing of monthly return, that is, after 20th of the next month. This is carried out by the GSTN portal. The details of every inward supply furnished by the registered taxable person, that is the recipient of the goods or service, in his GSTR2 shall be matched with the corresponding details of the goods or the service furnished by the registered taxable person, that is the supplier of the goods or service, in his valid return. A return will be treated as valid only if the GST has been paid in full by the taxable person as shown in the return for that particular period. The following details relating to the claim of input tax credit on inward supplies, including imports, shall be matched. First is the GSTN number of the supplier. Second is the GSTN number of the recipient. Third is the invoice number. Fourth is the invoice date. And fifth is the tax rate. So only these 5 things will be matched at the portal for the eligibility of the input tax credit. Other things like the HSN code, the taxable value, the place of supply would not be matched. So in case the details match, then the ITC claimed by the recipient in his valid return shall be considered as finally accepted, and such acceptance shall be communicated to the recipient in form GST MIS 1. Failure to file the valid return by the supplier may lead to denial of ITC in the hands of the recipient. Now, what will happen in the case of mismatch or discrepancy in the claim of input tax credit? The mismatch or discrepancy in the claim of input tax credit can happen due to 3 reasons. First, the ITC claimed by the recipient is in excess of the tax declared by the supplier, or where the details of outward supply are not declared by the supplier in his valid return, or duplication of the claim of ITC. So such discrepancy shall be communicated to the recipient in form GST MIS 1 and to the supplier in form GST MIS 2 on or before the last date of the month in which the matching has been carried out. A supplier to whom any discrepancy is made available may make suitable rectifications in the statement of outward supplies to be furnished for the month in which the discrepancy is made available, and a recipient to whom any discrepancy is made available may make suitable rectifications in the statement of inward supplies to be furnished for the month in which the discrepancy is made available. In case the discrepancy is not rectified in the valid return for the month in which the discrepancy is communicated, then an amount equal to the extent of discrepancy shall be added to the output tax liability of the recipient in the succeeding month. The recipient shall be liable to pay interest on the excess or duplicate ITC as added back to the output tax liability of the recipient from the date of availing of ITC till the corresponding additions are made in his returns. Now, what is the reclaim of input tax credit? Reclaim of input tax credit refers to taking back the ITC reversed in the electronic credit ledger of the recipient by the way of reducing the output tax liability. Such reclaim can be made by the recipient only in case the supplier declares the details of the invoice and or debit notes in his valid return within the prescribed time frame. In such a case, the interest paid by the recipient shall be refunded to him by the way of crediting the amount to his electronic cash ledger. Now, moving over to the next type of matching, matching of claim in the reduction of output tax liability. The following details relating to the claim of reduction in the output tax liability shall be matched. First is the goods and service tax identification number of the supplier, the GSTI number of the recipient. Third is the credit note number. Fourth is the credit note date, and fifth is the tax amount. If the details match, then the reduction in output tax liability as claimed by the supplier in his valid returns shall be considered as finally accepted, and such acceptance shall be communicated to the supplier in form GST MIS 1. Now, what will happen in the case of mismatch or discrepancy in the claim of reduction in the output tax liability? Mismatch or discrepancy in the claim of reduction in output tax liability can happen due to three reasons. First, reduction of output liability in respect of outward supplies exceeds the corresponding reduction in the claim for input tax credit, or the corresponding credit note is not declared by the recipient in his valid return, or duplication of claim of reduction in the output tax liability. Such discrepancy shall be communicated to the supplier in form GST MIS 1 and to the recipient in form GST MIS 2 on or before the last date of the month in which the matching has been carried out. A supplier to whom any discrepancy is made available may make the suitable rectifications in the statement of outward supplies to be furnished for the month in which the discrepancy is made available, and a recipient to whom any discrepancy is made available under subrule 1 may make suitable rectifications in the statement of inward supplies to be furnished for the month in which the discrepancy is made available. In case the discrepancy is not rectified in the valid returns for the month in which the discrepancy is communicated, then an amount equal to the extent of discrepancy shall be added to the output tax liability of the supplier in the succeeding month. The supplier shall be liable to pay interest on the excess or duplicate reduction in the output tax liability of the supplier from the date of such claim in reduction till the corresponding additions are made in their returns. What is the reclaim of interest? Where any reduction in output tax liability is accepted, then the interest paid under shall be refunded to the supplier by crediting the amount in the corresponding head of his electronic cash ledger. So, I hope you understood the matching concept in GST. In case if you have any queries, you can email me the same. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel CA Kamakshi Khandelwal for more videos on GST. Thank you.